Hey, what's up, guys, and welcome back to Anime King 3. And today, I'm gonna be giving you part 19 of What If Naruto Was Neglected with Jashin sealed inside of him. Remember to get this one to 100 likes as usual. Share this to all of your friends in your social media platform. And also, guys, go ahead and check out the brand new episode of What If Naruto Was Personally Trained by Kurama After Leaving the Village over on Anime King, and enjoy that, guys. And remember, if you're new, go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and your support. Remember to comment down below and tell me if you're new. I'll be replying talking back to all of you. So yeah, without further ado, what do you say begin this new episode? Start the intro. So, the last time we left off, as Naruto created a perfect dome around him and Menma trapped inside, Minato tried to bypass it, but whatever that black seeping smoke was, it disintegrated his kunai as the man stood there, shocked. As Naruto told everything, the crows that he had under his command caw as Naruto's voice came from their mouth. Sasuke heard it. Everyone around the village heard it. As Naruto told them how he killed all the Uchihas. Even Orochimaru was surprised by that. How he slaughtered all the people, how he was the one roaming around causing nothing but chaos and death and destruction. As the people that knew him were furious, Kushina had prayed. She had begged whatever kami could hear her that Naruto wasn't involved in all of this, that he was not the main enemy behind this all, but yet her worst fears came to be reality, as she now had to fight her own son. As Naruto grabbed onto Menma, he beat the absolute crap out of him, showing him that he's nothing, that he's worthless. As Menma came to realize that as he did not stand a chance against Naruto, he couldn't even put up a proper fight, as Naruto knocked him down over and over again. Orochimaru came forth as he knew how powerful Minato was. He summoned the first and second as he tried to bring the third as well. But the third soul was taken by Shinigami, so he could not be brought back in this state. As Minato quickly feels off against the first and the second, knowing that he had to, as Jiraiya and the others spread out as Naruto was faced by Kushina. She made up her mind that she had to stop him. She had to give him a swift, merciful death, because if he was captured, they were going to sentence him to death, a public execution, and it was going to be worse than anything he would have to go through. So she drove her blade through his heart. But to her surprise, he was fine, as he snapped the blade, breaking it. He grabbed Menma and started to absorb the fox chakra out of him as Menma groaned in pain. She knocked him away as Naruto burst into smoke as he vanished. Naruto made his way towards Lily. Lily knew that this day might come. She had prayed and dread in her thoughts that it would never do, as Naruto had made her a promise that he would kill her. And it seems like he was going to fulfill that promise as he was here. As she was in the cellar, her husband was brutally murdered, as her kids tried to stop Naruto, but Naruto ripped them apart. He then pinned Lily up after removing her arms and her legs to make her watch the dead body of her kids, leaving her there. As he went crazy around the village, going towards the academy, where he stepped forward on the kids with a brutal smile on his face. As he saw Konohamaru shaking and peeing his pants as Naruto released his bloodlust. This boy looked up to Menma like a hero, as that made Naruto smile. As Naruto made his way to the hospital after that, Minato came there, as Minato had showed them once again why he was known as Yellow Flash, as he took matters in his own hand and decimated all Sound and Sand Shinobi that remained after sealing the first and second. After all, the man wasn't known as a seal master for nothing. So with that out of the way, the man came towards the hospital where Naruto was, as Naruto said a few words to Hinata, and pissed off Sasuke even more, who was already in dread that his family was taken away from him by this monster. As Naruto told Minato that he might want to go to the academy instead of coming after him, Minato flashed there after. It revealed that Naruto was nothing but a smoke clone. As he arrived there, as he saw Konohamaru, the boy was brutally slaughtered, his arms and legs, his entrails torn out, and he was pinned up on the wall. In his blood, Naruto wrote something about Menma, as Minato had to remove all of the other kids as well. As he saw some of them were not breathing, he had to flash them towards the hospital, as a black smoke was seeping from their nose and mouth, as he didn't know what it was doing to them. Meanwhile, as Naruto and Gaara was currently away from the village already, as Naruto had a bigger plan for them. It wasn't time yet that he started the pure chaos, although he broke their spirit by blowing up the monument to show them that he will be coming back one day. Well, not now, he had other things to do. As Gaara asked him so where then, as she was gonna follow him. It was better being with him than being at the Hidden Sand. And she didn't mind, because the Hidden Sand was gonna try to bring peace with Konoha once again, knowing that they were tricked. And knowing that he didn't stand a chance against Minato after all the man showed, once again that he's not someone to be trifled with. As Naruto had the idea, they were going towards the Hidden Stone. So yeah guys, that's basically that's what I thought. You guys can switch across the place to check it up yourself. So this will begin this new episode. We begin this episode at the Hidden Sand. The Hidden Sand Village. Despite not being the strongest, or the most capable, with the most ninjas, or the most talented ninjas, and only having one tail beast, Konoha had the 9 tails. The most powerful tail beast, the Hidden Sand had the 1. Kumo had 2 tail beasts. Stone had 2. Kiri had 2. Even Taki had a stronger Biju than them. And yet they were able to remain in the top space, calling themselves a great nation. But at the very moment, they were just that in name. At the council room, Elder Okimai, a man with short brown hair, brown eyes, the relative look in the Hidden Sand, Baki, and Yumi, Elder Yumi, woman with grey hair that she seemed to be in her late 60s or early 70s. All of them were there, the elders of the village. They didn't have a Kazekage. Their military power was so weakened. They lost their Biju. If a minor nation was to attack them right now in the state that they were in, they would lose and be conquered. Elder Okima was the first one to speak as the man looked in the room. I knew this was a bad idea, he said, as the others glared at him. The man was against it from the beginning. He knew that they were getting cut off even when Daimyo was sending more funds towards Konoha because Konoha has proven to be stronger than them. And the missions were being sent towards Konoha. So Raza, the 4th Kazekage, wanted to invade the village. Many people, even the ninjas, thought that that was rather stupid. One reason alone. Minato Namikaze, the Yellow Flash. Once again the man proved his title and that he has not weakened over the years by massacring their ninjas that remained behind. The others, they fled, they came back home in panic, some of them having PTSD, thinking that at any moment Minato would show up and slice their throat. As Yumi spoke, we don't have time for the blame game. We were tricked into all of this by the snake. And now we have no idea what to do. Is there any suggestions? She looked towards Baki. Has there been any news, she asked. No, said Baki. Konoha has not asked him for anything. Not an apology, not a ransom, nothing. Konoha has been rather silent on the whole affair. I think you're too busy right now to even talk to us, Okamai said. Given that boy of theirs, that maniac, that went crazy, they have other bigger issues to deal with. It doesn't matter, said Yumi, because we're gonna be next once this is all over, as the others agree with her. We attacked them and we lost. And we fled, we were humiliated. Do you think you're just gonna let that slide? They all know that we're weakened, and we cannot fight them openly. What will we do? The others were silent. They didn't know what to say. Yes. After all, they messed up. Bad. Despite everything, Okamai said, Minato Namikaze is a kind man. Perhaps if we explained the situation and told him that we were a trick, he would not put so much fault in us. People are not so easily forgiven, and you know that, said Yumi. But it is the only possible thing that I can think about as well. We have to use his kindness to get away. Because I don't see any other way of us surviving this. If Konoha decided to strike back against us, they had no way to protect themselves. Perhaps, another council member said, we must mend relationships by starting a political marriage with a hidden leaf. Perhaps one of his son or daughter, knowing that that boy was long gone, the other one, and Minato, had said to himself that Naruto was no longer his son, out loud. I don't think this is the right moment, Okimai said, for us to ask for something like that. They are going to know that we're groveling, but perhaps, in time we shall. They turned towards Baki, as Okimai asked, any news on the Jinjulki? No, said Baki. There has been none. As a man, I was all so confused about the whole situation, not knowing the future of the Hidden Sand, if it would be prosperous or dark. Meanwhile, at Konoha, Menma was currently in a hospital bed. His face was devoid of all emotion, as he was just looking at his hands. It had been 3 days. He just woke up hours ago. The reason being his body was still so weakened after Naruto was forcefully pulling out the chakra out of him. It took him a while. He felt disappointed. He felt angry with himself. If he was powerful enough to end Naruto's misery, end Naruto's miserable life, then all of this could have been avoided, but yet he was not. He was pathetic. He was weak. The door opened up, as for once he did not smile as Hinata entered. But she was wearing a smile, trying her best, but Menma was not in the mood. He found out about Konohamaru, Udon, and Mogi. Udon and Mogi's skull were bashed in. Konohamaru was used as some sort of guilt trip or something to tick him off. His blood was used to paint on the wall by Naruto, who was mocking him. How are you feeling, said Hinata? She came over, as she was wearing a smile to try and cheer him up. I'm fine. She grabbed his hand. Do not tell me you're fine, because I know you're not. I am not even fine myself, she said after everything. He looked towards her, his gaze kind of hard. What the hell do you want me to say, he said. That I was too weak. That I was too pathetic to end Naruto's life. To stop all this from happening. Is that what you want me to say, he asked. And surprisingly, she nodded. Yes. I want you to let me in, so I can help you. It doesn't matter what you're feeling, I also want to feel it as well. Because I want to know how to help you. I don't want to let you go through this alone. And I'll do my best, she said. That seemed to warm his heart, as he took a breath. I'm sorry, he said. It's alright. After everything, you can lash out as much as you want, she said. I also feel angry at myself that I wasn't able to stop him. As Menma shook his head, he placed a hand on her shoulder. He's my brother. As much as I hate to say it. And he's my responsibility. And I'll be the one to put him in the ground, along with all of Konoha enemies, to keep all of us safe. I will not fail again, he said. As she hugged him, as he just relaxed in her embrace. And I'll be here to help you every step of the way. He smiled as he broke apart. How's Sasuke, he asked. Still not talking. As Sasuke had refused to talk to anyone. Everyone that tried to talk to him, he just ignored them. I think he's overthinking things. Well, given the recent development, everyone would, said Menma. Still can't believe that Naruto was behind all of this. This is just more. A reason for me to kill him. Hinata said nothing on that regard though. Meanwhile, in the hospital room, Sasuke was looking through the window. The room was empty because he had ignored everyone. Sakura, Ino, all of them. There was some flowers there with some basket, but he ignored all of them. He was too angry to really care. His blood was constantly pumping He could hear it in his ears. He wanted Naruto dead. He wanted to rip his throat out. He felt like he was turned into a monster because he wanted to kill Naruto in the most gruesomest way ever. He wanted to suffer. He wanted to pay. He wanted to die. But he didn't have the power. He felt pathetic because Gaara, that girl, was able to break him so easily. And Naruto's a lot stronger. How can he even do anything? Suddenly, the window rustled as the curtain blew in the breeze. Before it was shut, bathed in the room in darkness, Sasuke looked around. What the hell? He said, looking around. As a swirling vortex opened up right in front of him. Sasuke's eyes widened as he reached towards the monitor to call the nurse. Whoever this wasn't good. He was in no state to fight. As he was about to press the button until a hand grabbed onto his. As Sasuke looked up, he couldn't die here. No, he could not die. He had to kill Naruto. And whoever this is, he could feel the dark aura coming from them. And the next moment it was gone, making Sasuke relax as he breathed. Do not worry, Sasuke. I'm not here to harm you. In fact, I'm here to help you, said the voice. Sasuke couldn't really pinpoint it because the man was wearing a mask. An orange spiraling mask, so Sasuke could not see his mouth moving, but he could tell that he was one speaking. Who are you? Well, as the man turned his mask and focused, Sasuke's eyes went wide when he saw a three-toed Sharingan spinning. As I said, I'm here to help you, Sasuke. Meanwhile, Minato slowly stepped out of the room, a larger ward in the hospital. As he closed the door behind him, the nurses were inside. Kids. Roughly 50 to 60 kids inside on beds. All of them unconscious. They were strapped up to a machine. It was worse than he thought. The nurse, the medics, they didn't have the skill set to help them. Their bodies were corroded with this strange black poison that was coursing through their veins. The nurses could not remove it. They tried, but it was fighting against them, literally fighting against them, whatever this black smoke was. And it required delicate procedure to remove it. And they could not. As Minato stood there, his wife and Jiraiya appeared. How is it? Said Jiraiya. Bad. We have to call her. We have to get her back here. It's not going to be easy, said Jiraiya. I know, said Minato. But I'm not asking, he said. As Kushina saw the look in the man's eyes, he was serious. This was the Minato who stood in front of thousands of shinobis and slaughtered them all. He was not asking Tsunade to come back anymore. This was an order by her Hokage. Let me go, said Kushina. I want to come. I can better convince her. She had a relationship with Tsunade. Nothing too big and fancy, but they had a relationship. Mito being her grandmother. And Mito was like Kushina's caretaker while she was here. Mito was the one that took care of her, and she was there for her, as the transfer of the 9 Tails was given on to her. And Mito had spoken to Kushina a lot about her granddaughter, Tsunade. Well then, this is a direct order, said Jiraiya. I just want to make that clear. Yes, she has spent enough time away from the village. It's time that she comes home. As he nodded at that. Alright, Kushina. Pack your things, he said. As Kushina nodded as Jiraiya went off. Kushina hugged Minato. As she held on to him, she felt his body. He was aching, in pain, as his eyes looked tired and woozy. Did you have any rest, she asked. I can't afford to rest right now, he said, in a serious tone. I need to be... She held on to him. Look at me. The village needs you in a calm state right now. With a focused mind. I know everything that's happened is hard. And we have not yet talked about or what to do. But you need to be prepared and ready. Your mind needs to be clear and well rested. We can't have you falling down on us right now, she said. I will bring Snally back and get her to help these kids no matter what. I promise you, she said, as there was determination in her tone. We will talk about this when I return. Try to get some rest. As the man nodded, she gave him a kiss on the lips before they parted. Minato stood there. Before, he slumped down against the wall, kneeling. The man felt broken. A part of him knew that Naruto was behind this. A part of him telling him that Naruto was the cause of all this, but he refused that part. Taking in stride that Naruto was changing when he was released that day from prison. Yet he saw on the video that Naruto had snapped the man's neck without even any chakra to show that he was dangerous even without it. And yet he refused to believe it, and now Sasuke was a mess. His kids were a mess. Everything was a mess. He hasn't even called a proper council meeting yet to handle the situation with his son. As he sighed, he picked himself back up. As he couldn't afford getting rest right now, he had to work. He had to focus. He had to make sure everything was alright before he gets some proper rest. Meanwhile, as Kabuto walked into the room, as Orochimaru turned towards him, Orochimaru was wearing a cloak to protect him from the blood, as there was some tools in his hand, as the man was looking down at a subject on the table who was unconscious, as Orochimaru was messing with his insides. My lord, there has been no sightings of him. Well, it's not like he exactly know where I am, Orochimaru said, as he wanted to keep tabs on Naruto. Despite forming that small alliance, Naruto was a very dangerous kid. Yes, a really dangerous kid that he had to keep tabs on. As he turned back towards Kabuto. What about Konoha? Still in disarray, my lord. What are we gonna do? Leave it for now. Konoha is weakened. The sand is weakened. Soon enough, I'll be able to take the both of them and destroy as I see fit. I might have lost, as most would call it, but that doesn't matter at the moment. Minato might be powerful, but yet, under his watch, Konoha has been crumbled. There was a lot of deaths and a lot of suffering. The kids, still not doing too well. I believe that they would want to call Snally for aid. After all, whatever kind of poison Naruto has with that smoke, it's not normal. Something even worse than my Kusanagi blade poison. The pure malice and death I feel coming from it. I'm sure those kids don't have too long, Orochimaru said, looking gleeful as he spoke. My lord, when I was at Konoha, Naruto told me that he would consider joining us because it would be better for us to have him as our ally than an enemy. Well, he's right on that. But the thing is, how are we supposed to find him? My lord, shall I send Gurren and the others to scout the area to see if they can pick up anything? Teiwaya is the only one remaining of the Zone 4. She can be a good addition to their team. Yes. At the moment she is not too useful, but I'm sure I can find something useful to do with her. But at the moment, send her out. Tell them to convince him to come back. Not by force, because I doubt they can handle him. My lord, do you know exactly how strong he is? Asked Kabuto. On that I do not know, but he has proven to be rather slippery. With the caution of death, I've seen it with my own eyes. He was pierced and hit directly in the heart, yet he got back up like it wasn't even a second thought. Something that intrigues me. Well, he will be the most perfect specimen. My lord, do you plan on Kabuto? Despite the little friendship that we might have in seeing Konoha fall together, he's too dangerous to be left around. I assure you, if I don't handle him now, in a year or so, or maybe tomorrow, he will be coming after me for my head. He might look like he wants to play the innocent game, but I saw it in his eyes. There is nothing, there is no remorse, no guilt. No compassion for anyone or anything around him, it seems. That boy is a walking natural disaster, which should be grateful to my cause. Just have to find a way to make sure that that woman, thing, if you can even call it a woman, I'm not sure, that thing, stays inside of him so I can continue to do my research without end up permanently killing him. Because Jashin, after all, is said to be a being of malice, lust, and death and destruction and carnage. A being that is said to be unkillable. And that is what I want. To rise to that level, to surpass human limitation, and become a being of malice and death. A being that can conquer it all, said Orochimaru. He had big dreams, yes he had. And he will get them all fulfilled, no matter what. Sasuke was still in his view, but Naruto was proving to be more and more interesting as the time went on. There was a thought, a crazy idea in Orochimaru's head, but that is how big things were created after all. Just a simple crazy idea that evolved into something rather immense. To have control over Naruto's body, to be able to subdue Jashin inside of him, and the Kyuubi, to have full control, to be able to have that power at his fingertips. It made Orochimaru feel giddy, as a blissful smile was on the man's face, thinking about the things that he could do with that sort of power. The Akatsuki, no one could stand in his way. He would be number one. Konoha would burn. As the man smiled, it is only a matter of time, he thought to himself. Though he do wonder what was Naruto up to at that moment. Meanwhile, they weren't in any rush. After all, it was the first time the both of them were actually freed. Free to go where they want and do what they want. Gar was happy. She was immensely happy. She could go wherever she pleased and do whatever she wanted. With him by her side, she didn't see anything that could stop them. As the world seemed like a giant, open flower for her to take in part in. Something that was wonderful. No one trying to limit her. No one trying to control her to use her as a weapon. Her mind, her soul, her body, it all belonged to him, and he wanted her to be as dark as possible. He wanted her to give in to the bloodlust, the rage. He wanted her to use it all. Her mother was no longer talking to her. Instead, the presence was replaced with Naruto, a warm, soft feeling that made her feel happy. To crush anyone that stand in his path with her sand that had changed into complete black by now. As her body also felt stronger. And they was just pulled towards him. The more her body got enticed by this black, whatever he poured into her. She started to feel more aroused just being around him. The feeling was getting stronger and stronger. Like she couldn't leave his side for a moment. As he had a blissful smile on his face. He seemed to be happy as well. As his long, dark hair blew in the wind. The both of them were out in the open. He did not fear anyone. He did not run from anyone, seeing that he was just walking, without a care in the world, not caring about if anyone sees him. At the moment the both of them were past Land of Fire. They were making their way towards the hidden stone, but Naruto decided to take a stop first. There was a reason why the Shinigami was so pissed off at Jashin. It was because she was enticing too much human souls that belonged to him to worship her. And with them worshipping her, she gave them immortality. She gave them a form of immortality. As long as they pray and worship her, they could not die. She did so many times, the number was starting to pile up. Minato had said it once before from a report that Jiraiya gave him. Yashigakure, a village, a small village, rumors that had demons inside of it, said to be going crazy. They have slaughtered a nearby family, a former family with a large population, stream country over to the side. Konoha or no other village has been paid to investigate the matter because they killed everyone. They massacre everyone they go after. And no village was gonna help out somewhere for free. Yes, people are not that kind-hearted in the world. No one dare step foot near Yashigakure. The place was silent. Yes, too silent. It wasn't even much of a village. Just huts and tents prowl around. These people, although they have immense power because of their immortality, it gave them something that other ninjas didn't have. Lack of fear. Knowing that you could not be brought down by simple means, why would you care if your arms were impaled, if your chest was impaled? But their life, they didn't care much about that. They lived where they wanted. They do what they wanted. As Naruto started to walk down the long, empty pathway. Yes, this is where they all are. At the moment, they're all being led by one known as Hidan. He accepts my blessing more than anyone else, and he worships me more than anyone else. The others are merely his underlings. But it's time that you took the command from him and be the king that you're supposed to be, Naruto said Jashin. As Naruto smiled at that as he continued to walk, as he made his way down the path, he saw bodies. Yes, these guys are really some brute that seem to enjoy killing. Bodies with a symbol of Jashin tortured into them. As you could see from their face, they were crying in pain. Some of them even wet themselves. Naked ladies all around. Not just ladies, all gender it seems. They didn't really specify in which. As Naruto continued to walk, he heard a slur over to the bushes as he saw someone pick themselves up. A man. He had a small sight in his hand as his eyes looked crazed. Hey. This must be my lucky day. Two brats walking in here. The man looked happy, delightful. Can't have the others find you first. No, I'll be the one to sacrifice the both of you to Jashin-sama. As the man stepped forward with a gleeful smile, as Naruto's eyes turned completely black. Stop, he said. That was a simple word that he muttered, and the man found himself unable to move. Not because of Naruto was controlling him, but it was a feeling. The feeling of dread and fear as the man dropped to his knees. The life around seemed to dim, the plants quell. The ground seemed to crack under the immense darkness that flowed from Naruto. Over towards the village, two pairs of eyes opened up. What the hell is this? A voice said. As someone picked himself up who was in the center of the village, one of the center huts, as he made his way, as he was wearing an open chest shirt. It was the leader, Hidan. He had slicked back silver hair, a three-pronged sight in his back, and seemed to have something else under his open shirt that was strapped away. As he made his way, feeling this dark presence, it waked up the others as well as they started to marching towards the source. Who the hell are you? Hidan asked. As Naruto turned towards the man. Let me guess. You're Hidan, huh? Yeah? And who's asking? Your new god, said Naruto. I suggest you bow. Bow? You expect me to bow to you? I don't know who the... Hidan words died in his throat. A look of fear came over the man's face as he felt it. As Naruto's eyes poured into his, Hidan was brought into an empty dimension. Hidan. The voice echoed out. You have served me well. But I must insist that you hand over the reins to my precious Naruto-kun. This is a direct order from your god. I hope you don't disobey. Hidan dropped towards his knees. Of course not, Jashin-sama, he said. I didn't know. As his head was lowered. Oh, don't worry. I'll forgive you this once. But Hidan, remember who you serve. It will be me. And always me, she said. After all, Jashin had plans for Hidan, as Naruto could not see them in this small dimension that she was talked to him into. A little fraction, part of his mind, where it was filled with nothing but darkness. She was gonna use Hidan in the future. Not just him, but all of these religious pawns to get what she wanted. She glanced over as the space in front of her warped, as she could see Naruto out in the human world. Her eyes focused on him. Once again, she felt that feeling, like she was doing something wrong yet. She shrugged it off. Now Hidan, go, she said. As Hidan body faded away, Jashin stood where she was. She felt like she was doing something wrong, but she should not. She was a being of malice, being of lust, a being that didn't care about some simple boy. Because all this time she was using him to get what she wanted, so why did she feel this way now? Why should she care? It didn't matter, she wanted this for so long. Something that her brother, not even her brother, could achieve. But her brother made the biggest mistake of sealing her into a newborn baby, where she could corrupt and manipulate his mind. She knew, once she set her plan in action, there was no going back. Naruto might have unending love for them, but once she was gonna do what she was gonna do, it was gonna change. Because she shook her head. She didn't want to think about that right now. Here she was, second guessing herself. She was gonna do this. Because once she did, she would be a being that was able to break through the reality, break through the breach, and enter this plane of existence. And then, she could take and absorb as many souls as she wants. And there will be no one, absolutely no one, to stop her. It will all be hers. And she will have enough power to seal her brother away. She will trap him somewhere for eternity, to make him feel the same as she felt at being trapped away in the beginning, when she was angry. And no one could stop her. Meanwhile, Hidan dropped towards his knees as he bowed his head. I apologize, he said. I didn't know who I was speaking to. His tone quickly changing. The others were confused. Bow. You cheap copies, bow, Hidan said as he looked towards them. This is Jashin-sama, vessel, our one, true Lord, Hidan said. He speaks the direct word from Jashin-sama. The others dropped towards their knees, bowing their head, all of them looking solemn as they did. Their Lord Jashin was actually here, in front of them. As they felt blessed, they felt pure to be in the presence of their Lord, bowing their head respectfully. Now that's more like it, said Naruto, as he wrapped her arm around Gaara's waist and pulled her closer. You're in this as much as I am, said Naruto. Don't think I'll ever leave you out. As that brought a smile to her face. Time skip. As Naruto was in the tent as he looked around. Disgusting, he said. As Hidan looked rather bashful at that. But he wasn't about to question his lord, the vessel. Of course he would not. He respected his lord too much. Jashin was his god. We can't live like this, Hidan, said Naruto. We are the pinnacle of human race. We surpass those pitiful, worthless beings out there. We are blessed by Jashin, all of us, said Naruto. That is why we need to be on top. We need to be the ones ruling everything. It might sound hard with some dangerous people around. Like my father. Your father? Yes, Minato Makazi. The fourth Hokage? Hidan was ignorant about most things, but of course he knew the fourth Hokage. Yes. But don't worry, Hidan. For now, I want you to continue leading our people. I will set a chain of actions in motion and change everything for us. First, I'll be off to the hidden stone. As Naruto opened his palm, a bird appeared in his palm. The bird flew on Hidan's shoulder and Hidan looked towards it, the black eyes staring into his own. Gather more people, more followers. Change them over towards our ambition, our goal. If they do not want to, as Naruto opened his palm, as darkness seeped from his very core, as he flooded into a small cube in front of him, and it became reality as it became solid. As Naruto grabbed it, as he tossed it toward Hidan, Hidan caught it. That should be enough to persuade their mind. Gather, grow, and extend. And also, conquer a better village than this. Slaughter anyone in your path. Hidan was smiling the more Naruto talked, as he loved this feeling to know that his Lord Vessel wanted as much death as possible. Slaughter, pillage, rape, massacre. Do as you please, said Naruto. Just make sure to make them all suffer as you do. We will drive this world into utter madness, where I will stand at the front as its new leader, said Naruto. At the top, No more hidden nations. No more major villages. Just one, while the rest of them are drowned in agony and suffering and solemn, and the others are put to death, where they will forever remain my pawns to be used. It shall be done, said Hedon as he held on to the cube in his arm, feeling the darkness inside of it, just waiting to be released. As Naruto smiled at that. Time skip. As Oniki was currently in his office, the man was currently going over some paperwork. As the news had spread, it was rather surprising, but Oniki laughed. Well, you wouldn't be surprised if you know him. The reason why he was surprised was because of the event. Minato. No one knew about Naruto after all. He was kept a secret from the rest of the nations, as no one knew where the tail beast was. So knowing that Minato's son turned against him, the news had spread rapidly and caused chaos in Konoha along with Orochimaru. It was rather delightful. Only he would pay anything to see the utter shock and humiliation on Minato's face, knowing that he failed as a father and failed as a Hokage. Despite that though, he heard of Minato wiping out the remaining sand and sound ninjas, so he was going to go up against Konoha, as that would be too dangerous at the moment. He was still recovering from the Third Great Shinobi War. Minato took a lot of his men, as they were the one that called a ceasefire, when the Leaf offered one at first, and they declined, but then they had to afterwards because they were losing badly. As he grunted, that still pissed him off up to today. But the man laughed once again to know that Minato was suffering just as much as he was, or maybe even more. It was so delightful. He would like to meet this Naruto and shake his hand and thank him for what he did. But that was a fool's dream. He was sure by now that Konoha would be after him. But for a boy to be so powerful to defy Minato and survive out of it, he must be quite the powerful foe. Yes, he must be. Meanwhile, just coming back from a mission, making her way towards the village was Kurosaki, as she was the granddaughter of Kishikage, quite a powerful kunoichi. She has done missions solo before, a lot, so it wasn't a big deal. It was just a B rank as she was making her way home. That is when she came across two people going towards her village. As they were walking, not wearing a single headband on them to show off their features, as she came to a stop. One thing about her though, she was rather arrogant. She believed that she was better than other people because she was the granddaughter of a Tishikage, soon to be Tishikage herself. As she stopped in front of the duo, I have never seen either of you around my village before. So, might I ask, where are the both of you going, she said. It was weird for two kids to be walking around here. As Naruto looked over the woman, tell me, are you close to the Tishikage? Naruto asked. My grandfather, she said. Once again, she showed off her arrogance because, not knowing if they were here to capture her because of that, she felt like she could take on anyone and defeat anyone. After all, they were just two kids. After all, that is how she saw anyone younger than her. They might be tall, they might be big and bulky. If they were younger, they were just kids. Your grandfather, huh? Well, you will be a big help getting me in there, said Naruto. I wish to speak to your grandfather. And why the hell should I let you speak to my grandfather? Who the hell even are you? My name is Naruto. A pleasure to meet you. And this is Gaara. Gaara said nothing and she simply eyed the woman in front of her. You wouldn't happen to be Naruto, ex-missing of Konoha, are you? Oh, you know me, said Naruto. Well, there has been rumors going around. Is it true that you took on Milton Mikaze and lived? That you slaughtered so many people in Konoha? And that, this is the weirdest part, you single-handedly killed the Uchiha clan? Or am I mistaken, she asks. I've heard some rumors, but you know these people in the elemental nation, they over-exaggerate. Oh, it's quite true, I must say, said Naruto. A pleasant memory, if I must add on. You're bluffing, right? You're just a brat. I expected more. Well, looks can be deceiving, said Naruto. So would you mind guiding me back to your village? And why the hell would I let a cold-hearted killer in my village? Well, me and your grandfather have something in common. You see, we both despise my father and want him dead. And I think I can help. We don't need your help. We don't want to be involved in whatever you're doing. A pity. If you were in charge, you could tell me what to do. But seeing that you're nothing more than a little pussy that loves to talk, I don't give a damn what you have to say, said Naruto. What you just call me? You heard me. What exactly are you gonna do, said Naruto. Would you like me to say it again? She vanished in a burst of speed as she appeared behind Naruto. I'm gonna make you eat those words as she brought her hand down, only for her to jump back. She stopped as she looked down towards her stomach. Blood. What the hell? As she saw sharp tentacles coming from the boy that was made of smoke. How the hell did it injure her? As she flashed Johansson and spewed something out of her mouth that flashed on Naruto and Gaara. The both of them did not move. As it hardened. "Now I got you, little shit," she said. As she walked in front of him. "Aren't you gonna say something? I mean, you were all talk a moment ago." "Hey." She froze as she felt something clawing on her back. It had already ripped through her shirt, tearing through her vest. "You have a nice, beautiful skin," said Naruto, as his claws were grazing her back. "You know, if I were to sink a bit deeper, I might end up going through it. I would love to see how red your blood is. You're quite feisty. In your anger, I would like to see if it is boiling," said Naruto. She could not move. If she made her own move and he moved forward, he could paralyze her. As she gulped. She then found sand needles at her throat, ready to impale her at any moment notice, as she saw the two people in the quick line in front of her vanish into smoke. "So, as you were saying, Hose," said Naruto, taunting her. "As you can see, I said already, looks can be deceiving. So, I'm gonna ask once again. Are you gonna take me to your grandfather?" "No," she said. Despite everything, she had her pride, and whatever this monster was, he was gonna cause problem for them. She was sure that her grandfather might listen because it would mean the death of Minato. But her village shouldn't get caught up in something like this. Yes, this boy. There was something about him that just got her here standing up. "Well then," said Naruto, "I'm afraid it can't be helped. What are you gonna do, kill me? You think my grandfather will talk to you then?" "Nah," said Naruto, "I'm not gonna kill you. But I am gonna use you." Time skip. As Naruto was marching, the next moment he was surrounded. "Stop. What business do you have here? Answer, now." The voice came out rough. As Naruto reached into his small pouch that he had on, keep certain things inside. As he tossed the man something, the man's eyes caught sight of it before he caught it. As he looked at the headband, something on it was different from all other headbands. Arrogant as Kurosaki was, she carved her initials in her headband. "No, it can't be," the man said. "This is Kurosaki." "Where is she?" the man asked, anger in his tone. "Take me to your Tishikage, and maybe you'll find out," said Naruto. "Don't, and she dies." Venom in his tone. But guys, be in subscribe right here. If you want to see the next person, do like, subscribe, comment down below, turn on that bell notifications they posted. Remember to share to all of your friends in social media platform. And also guys, go ahead and check out the other what ifs over on Anime King of What If Naruto Was. Personally trained by Kurama after leaving the village and enjoy that guys. But for now I'm out. See you guys soon. Peace.